Today we're going to talk about the power of networking and how networking is like adding rocket fuel to your business.
Welcome to the Post-Purchase Pro Podcast.
This is the only podcast that dives deep into post-purchase marketing to help Amazon sellers increase sales, ranking, reviews, and profits. It's everything that happens after the initial sale that makes a difference. We call this the back end. Hey, welcome back to the Post-Purchase Podcast. This is episode 38. Seth, we're doing something a little bit different today, aren't we, buddy? Look, you're right down the counter from me. Where are we at? We're at Prosper 2022 in Las Vegas. So today we're going to talk about the power of networking and how networking is like adding rocket fuel to your business. And that's exactly what we're doing here at Prosper. We're out here promoting our private event, aren't we? Our after party, and trying to network with amazing entrepreneurs and sellers just like yourself. If you're watching this or listening to this, Seth is literally 20 feet from me. And Danny, right over there, say hello. There's Danny. He's running he's the emcee. So Seth, networking, man, what has networking done for your net worth?
Well, Sean, I think you were the first person that I actually intentionally tried to network with in my whole life. And it ended up creating this, creating like a decade worth of nonsense, right? No, I think when I reached out to you to intentionally network, that was 2012 or 2013. And no, I guess it was 13. Yeah. And
it was 13.
It was 2013. And you had kind of moved on to a new part of your career, and it was just the perfect timing. But the point is that I would never have been in the situation that we're in today without reaching out to intentionally network. And the whole point of it, Sean, was to reach out and just say, hey, Sean, tell me your story. Give me like the roadmap that you followed in your life. And that was my honest intention, was just to hear like how you created success in your life. And by doing that, it turned into a lot more, which I didn't expect, but the power of networking in my life, Sean, has been like 1,000-fold. So I know we've paid for a lot of networking over the years. We've been to some really high-end masterminds, but nothing has been as impactful as like actually seeking somebody out who has done what you want to do and then sitting down and having a real meaningful conversation. That's why we're here in Las Vegas today, Sean.
That's exactly why, and how fitting, because I remember you came in as an intern into my company when I was probably your age. Actually, I was like 32, 33. And you came in as an intern, and then like 2-3 years later, when you reached out to me, it was actually by a text message. You said, hey, do you remember me? Apparently you found my phone number online, and you said, I'm looking for a mentor. And how fitting is it that today I just started using text messaging again after laying off of it for 6 years. And the reason I did it, I think everyone says, well, why all of a sudden you want to start texting again today? Because on my 4-hour plane ride from Atlanta to Vegas today, Delta was showing me how they were allowing us to do text from the air, which is not a new thing. But for some reason today, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to start texting. Because as you know, for our private event that we're hosting in a couple days, the RSVP comes by text. And, we're asking people, call or text this number to RSVP. And I'm dependent on you to reach out and create and develop these relationships through text messaging like you have been. And, I just refuse to use it up until today. So I'm back in the text arena. We're out here. Our goal is to meet like-minded entrepreneurs, to find more joint venture partners, and to basically market our business. And, a lot of times, Seth, especially people in our industry, they will confuse sales and marketing and kind of throw it all into the same category. Well, it's sort of similar, but for me, marketing is what you do to attract new clientele and new prospects into your sales process. And sales is how you convert those prospects into customers. And that's exactly what we're doing here. My first networking was just hanging out with older guys. I told you that I always liked to, my friends growing up in my teens and 20s and early 30s, my friends were all like 60, 70, 80. One who lived just down the street here up until recently, he was 90 years old. But networking, you're 100% right, has really made a huge difference for myself. And what you don't see is that the table's kind of turned now, like because you want to be this new age, into this new technology and texting and using social media, you're keeping me in the networking game much longer than I thought I would be, just by through you and your channels and the way that you like to communicate. So how fitting that it's all come back together. We're sitting in the same room talking about networking, right? And you're like literally right over there. Hey, how's it going?
Yep, exactly. So that's funny, Sean. So I guess in some cases, you know, networking turns into friendships and partnerships, and all these things can develop. But you know, almost like networking is almost like skipping steps in life. It's like a cheat code almost, right? It's like you actually can.
I see you. Hey, it's the desk clerk. Hey, you're live on the Seth and Sean show. We're doing this from the Hotel Marriott over here.
Like I was saying, networking is like you're skipping steps almost sometimes, because it's like if you read a book, you don't really believe it can be true for yourself, or you can't really put yourself in the frame of mind of like, how could this actually apply to my life? But when you see somebody who's sitting there right beside you and says, here's exactly what I did to get where I'm at, it's like it becomes real, and that realness becomes like the belief that you need to take action. And so like you told me when we sat down for our first networking event, right, when I sought you out over the internet and tracked down your phone number, all stalker like, you said, I'm doing $300,000 in the last quarter of 2013 on Amazon. I was like, you know, that seems a little far-fetched to me, Sean. I know you're operating under your garage at this point. And you're like, no, look, and you whipped open your computer and you said, here, look, this is what I'm doing, exactly what I'm doing. And then I was able to kind of replicate that, and then we partnered up and we did it together. But if you hadn't been there in real life and you had just been some guy on the internet in a forum that I was reading, I never would have done any of it because I wouldn't have believed it. So, you know, when going to Aruba, our first mastermind that we went to, Sean, that was a huge deal. We paid $14,000, and how many good things came out of that just by meeting the people for one ticket. So, yeah. So as you're growing your business, whether it's an Amazon business or any other type of business, the thing that makes businesses grow it's always going to be people. So networking is so crucial to that, Sean.
It is, and you know, I keep saying, I'm coming back to how fitting it is, because the gentleman sitting right here that I just actually met for the first time has already been working inside of our business for what, Danny, like 2 months now, almost going on 3 months, and just going out to dinner with him and networking, so-called. You know, now I feel like we know each other, but before it was just a face and an email. So, and the connection to Danny came from a networking event where you met Danny's old partner, Adam, right? And thanks to that connection, now we have Danny on our team, thank God. And, you know, we're growing through his efforts as well. So, networking to me, it's like getting out of your bubble, getting out of the vacuum that you're living in. No matter how successful or unsuccessful you are, we're all kind of have our own little comfort zone. But as soon as you become okay with getting out of your comfort zone and being more uncomfortable, you know, AKA meeting strangers and creating a rapport with strangers, being a giver, then doors start to open. Some call it a network, you know, some call it, you've heard people say, contacts lead to contracts, your network is your net worth. Well, what I've understood, you know, we just went and had, well, let's talk about it again. So we just had dinner with Danny and who else? Tyler, my friend, through a networking buddy, actually helped us set up our event, our $1 billion seller after party that we're doing in a couple of days. Thanks to that connection, we were able to easily book a venue, book some catering, get a band going, and create our after party. So what I've found, Seth, is that I call it God, call it whatever you want, call it providence, call it spirit, but providence, life, the universe gives to those who give, right? But conversely, takes from those who take. So when you have an opportunity to network with other individuals, whether it's business or your personal life, it's important that you come from a place of giving and be that giver. Be the first to give and don't ask for something in return. You know, everyone can see through it if you're in a networking event and you want to be the guy that give everybody something and then immediately ask for something in return. That's not networking. That's called manipulation, right? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about go out into the world, meet people, shake some babies, like I say, kiss some hands, and get your hands a little bit dirty. Start meeting other folks, or maybe you're doing something that you want to do, or know somebody that they can plug you into and connect you with, And that's basically what you mean by networking is like adding rocket fuel, right, Seth?
Yeah, like I said, it's like a cheat code because like when we started our Amazon business, for instance, like you already had the network in place that you had already developed for years. You know, you had the customs broker, you had the sourcing agent, you had the logistics person, you had all these pieces that I didn't have to find, but maybe I could bring a different element to the table, you know? And so when you go to a networking event, you're trying to grow and you're trying to add value to somebody else's life, and then you can combine those powers. It's like you know, created rocket fuel almost, Sean.
That's funny that you said that. I remember early on when you're like, it's just astonishing to me all of the people that you know. And like anytime you need something, you just call this guy and you call this gal and this, you know, this person. And it's like you got to remember, I've been doing this for a long time. You know, I have like 4,000 people in my telephone. So now the magic of the networking says is that all those people, the sourcing agents in China, the customs brokers, the logistics shipping companies, you know, from the East Coast to the West Coast, now you can honestly say that all of that network is now your network, right? Like you're on a first name
Right.
basis for all those people that took me years to find. And that's kind of how you're paying back into business now because I try to be a recluse. You're out there in the world kicking tires, you know, and test driving different deals and talking about JV partnerships, and it kind of helps me stay relevant. So, you know, no matter how good you are, no matter how smart you are, there's always room for more people with more connections in your life. And that's why networking is so important. That's the only reason why we're here in Vegas right now. We want to give to the universe. We want to share our knowledge and our specialties with other like minded entrepreneurs, online e commerce sellers, Amazon sellers, in hopes that we spread, you know, call it love, call it goodwill, call it karma. Then it comes back and says, hey, I know these guys. I mean, how many times, Seth, when you're at one of these events, you're like, I remember you guys from a Vegas event like 8 years ago when you gave a
Yep.
presentation on this or that or the other thing. And then they come on and you know, engage our business for one way or another as a partner, as a client. Or they'll say, you know what? I remember seeing you on a podcast back in 2016 with the, you know, the AMZ secrets. And I think what you're doing is just amazing. But the fact that we've already planted that seed and that relationship has already been nurturing, percolating over the years, helps, gives you a leg up, doesn't it, when you try to make an offer to someone for your business?
Yep. Definitely. And Sean, I don't think it's coincidence that the people that we talk to that are the most successful, especially in this business, are people that have a big network. They go to masterminds, they're interacting with other people, they're intentionally trying to get themselves out there and give value. And the people that give the most get the most. So I would say an action step would be, especially if you're in the Amazon space, you have a huge advantage over a lot of industries because there's all kinds of people meeting up around this topic. And there's all kinds of people in this game. And in this particular industry, it's even more giving. There's a lot of people willing to share. So get out there, find an event, and actually show up in person. Because just like we met Danny in person, I can tell you, you feel a lot different about anybody once you sat down and had, you know, dinner with them or had a conversation in real life. So it just changes it totally.
Yeah, Danny, now we've broken bread together, right? So I know it's uncomfortable to meet new people, but like that's what I was trying to get at. Joe Polish said it, I think, that life gives to the giver and takes from the taker. Go out there and meet someone new. Like challenge yourself when you're in a room full of other entrepreneurs or a room full of business owners or someone else who may have something that they can help you achieve. Give first, and then the natural law of reciprocity will want that person to give back. It's just natural human nature. If not, then you really don't need that person in your network anyway. Instead of hanging out over in the corner with your little clique of all the people that you're already comfortable with, I challenge you to come out of your shell and go be uncomfortable. We brought 350 of these invitations. So over the next 48 hours, starting tonight at a 9 p.m. networking function we're going to, I want to be, all of these will be out of our pockets into folks just like your pockets so that we have our own networking event and bring everyone together and be what? Be the giver, not the asker. Don't be an asshole. I always say that. I learned that from, you know, whenever we had Ryan Moran on our podcast.
Yeah.
He's like, don't be the asshole that's always asking for something. You know, be the giver and make those deposits in the social bank, right?
Yeah, Sean, I think Alex Hormozy said to be the most valuable person at any networking event is just to make yourself like the biggest giver or always say yes when somebody asks you something, especially the first time. And I think that's really good advice. It's, when you meet somebody, try to really invest into their life, because you never know what's going to come back or what's going to be needed. Like when I reached out to you and I said, what can I do to help with what you have going on now? I had no idea what it was going to turn into, right? But it turned into something pretty amazing. And
thankfully for both of us, I was bored.
Yeah, yeah. You never know what timing it's going to be, and what what can spark. I've met people that are from Germany and Australia that met at an event in America, and now they're business partners. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy how that works, and that's some really solid advice as we wrap up this episode 38 about adding rocket fuel to your business by networking. It's really good advice when you say, if someone asks, just say yes. Just kind of put yourself in the yes mood, and anything anybody presents to you, just say yes. Yep, I can do that. Go ahead and commit to it, and then figure out the details later. And that's what we do. We committed. We're going to have an event here. I think Charlie said, "Hey guys, if you're going to Prosper, you need to have a party." And we're like, "Okay, that's in like 12 days, Charlie. We need a venue. We need a band. We need organizers. We need invitations," and we just committed, and then we figured it out. So that's my challenge for you. My name's Sean Hart. This guy right down here, Seth, that's the co-host. Hey, Seth. And we challenge you to get out there and expand your network today. Let us know how we're doing. Leave a comment, share, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Danny's going to get this thing produced and up on YouTube, Facebook, and on the podcast. This is episode 38 of the Post Purchase Podcast. We'll see you next week.
See ya.